So back to the MySpace story. Like, this is like fucking Billy Connolly, man. So the MySpace thing was getting bigger and bigger, and met this guy. So basically, what had happened was there was this. Basically, it was a message board, a forum called Fifth Dimension, and I'd met this guy. I'd bought a bathing ape hoodie off this guy, and it was the one that was like the Murakami Louis Vuitton. It was like the white with the pink and stuff like that. And Futura had an exhibition in Maharishi, so I was meeting this guy there that night. First night met Futura, I was like, oh my God, I start like, oh. And this guy told me about, oh, he says, you're on Fifth Dimension, and I'm like, wait, like I spent all my time on eBay. Like, I was just obsessed with finding more and more fucking shoes, man. And he's like, oh, you got to go on this forum. There's like a Futura thread, but Futura goes on it. And his name on it was Cubic Zirconia. His daughter Tabitha was on it as well. And there got speaking to all these dudes, and it was like, I just started putting bits of my collection on. And they were like, fucking hell. Wow. Right, okay. You've got quite a lot of stuff. But Lenny would speak to us all and like go, oh, that's fucking amazing. I've got this coming out. This is limited. But he was all quite cryptic. And I was like, ah, you don't need to explain to me what that means. I was literally didn't know. And just became like, met all these guys. So it was round about the time.
This is about the birth of what is it? This
was the birth of what you guys would now call streetwear, whereas to me it's like 1990.
Yeah.
Like, that's the start. That's when all these guys started. Like Supreme and like Bathing Ape and stuff like that. That's when they came into fruition, the early 2000s. So basically, I found out that Futura, like, my old man died of cancer. So Lance Armstrong, and I was always into Tour de France when I was a kid, still cycle now. And Lance Armstrong was fucking massive inspiration till I found out he was a fucking cheat, and it broke my fucking heart. But Futura designed the graphics for his last tour that he won. So his bike on the time trials all had Futura graphics on it. And they released a shoe, it was a Zoom FC shoe that was getting released in Colette in Paris. So I'd said to Forey, look, can I go? Can I take the time off? And Forey's like, fucking hell, man. That was like 2 days before. So I was like, he's like, nah, go. So Gail and I flew over and met a lot of these guys that we'd become mates with on this forum. And the day we'd got there, like, they'd had it was a Trek bike, so they had all these Trek bikes. Basically, there was 6 bikes all joined on one centre wheel, and it was all like Futura artwork on all the other wheels. In the window Colette, of course, by the time we got there, they'd fucking taken it out. So mates of ours knew somebody had a shop called Star Cow, which is further along the road.
Star Cow, yeah. Colette as well, big.
Totally,
huge.
Yeah. Well, that's where the Futura shoe was getting released the next day. So we're walking along Roussan on Or. I'd done Futura Labs hat, Futura Labs t-shirt, Supreme hoodie, Futura Labs bag. I'm trying to find the street numbers to find Star Cow. And somebody starts shaking my hand. I looked up and it's Futura, and I'm like, hi. And he's like, oh my God. Like, and I was like, he goes, oh man, like, you've got all my shit on. And it's like, yeah, both of them, Scott. And he's like, oh fuck, here's my phone number. There's a big night party tomorrow night. Would you come as my guest? And I'm like,
let me think about that. Aye.
We had to fly home on the Monday because Gail had work, and it was like, I couldn't go. I'm fucking gutted. Absolutely devastated, man. Such is life. So I watched Lance fucking win it. Got the Nike shoes the next day. I never got to go to the night party. I just got to do it. But a few of my mates got to go, so.
Yeah, Lance Armstrong at the time was huge as
massive,
well.
Massive. Yeah. Well, it was like, what, 7 he won? after
When
fucking
did he win when he came back from the cancer thing?
7.
What, 7 straight after the cancer?
Yeah, I think it was like he maybe won 1 before and then 6 or 7 after.
Yeah,
How
I
was
just
it done?
remember the yellow.
Yeah,
The yellow
Live Strong.
wristband, yeah.
But like, you've no idea how devastated I was when I found out.
What was it? Live Strong or something?
Live Strong,
Live
yeah.
Strong,
Yeah. But I'd like, he loads of his shoes as well. Like, he did Moyers, and
I just remember the scandal at the time.
I was devastated, man, because like, he was such an inspiration, especially for folk that had cancer or having cancer.
Yeah.
To go, fuck me, man, he can win 7 fucking.
Yeah. There's definitely.
Totally, like you can keep going, you can keep doing it.
It inspires a lot
And
of people.
it just totally trashed his whole legacy.
Yeah.
Why
and-
did hardly get mentioned
Well, I can't
anymore?
watch tour anymore. It's like, even like Floyd Landis, it was a year or 2 years after that. Like, everybody's just jacked up now. It's like, that's not fucking race. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and I know Lenny still watches it every year, but
Not for you.
nah, I can't do it because I know that most of like, he's in like, what's the 2 English guys have been suspected of it as well. Bradley Wiggins, I think, was he not?
He was a gold medalist in all that Olympics and all that.
Yeah. So
When I stayed in the States, I met a boy who was on the US Olympic ski team,
right,
but he was also on the cycling team. But he was way before Lance Armstrong,
right.
and he used to do the training with him, and he trained Lance Armstrong when he was cycling.
Oh.
And so I was speaking to him about it, and I can't remember, when was it the scandal happened, around about, what, 2000?
Yeah, but he was in dodgeball and he was still a hero at that point. So
Yeah. But when it all came out, I remember going to see him. I was like, "Hey, your guy's got, caught out basically."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I reported him 4 years ago." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Well, when we used to train, he came in last. He wasn't he said he was good. It wasn't he says, but there was guys that were better than him." He says, and I remember when he started winning everything, I was thinking, but
All right.
this is no right. And he says, and I spoke to a few people, and he says, they were like, "Well, no, he's, his stats and everything, he's changed his diet." And he's like, "I'm telling you, I used to cycle with him, and I'm about 15 years older than him, and I was schooling him." He says, "There's something no right. You should get him checked." He says, now, by that time, he's just working at another job. He's not really involved in it anymore.
And Lance Armstrong's making too much
And he's
money
making too much money.
for all these brands.
But he says, I reported it. Now, he says, I didn't officially report it, but I spoke to guys about it. He says, and I just got the feeling it was, oh, well, we'll look at that. Go away.
Making too much money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, he says he should never have been winning anything. He wasn't
Money
good
talks,
enough.
man.
Yeah.
So
that was that bike, the time trial bike. We went over to New York, went to Brooklyn to Stash and Futura's studio, and there's the 3 Trek time trial bikes. Lance has one, Futura. He gave Futura one as a gift, and Trek have got the other one, and he's got his Giro helmet as well. And he was like to me, like the bike was in the studio. He was like, "Go and pick it up." I was like, "I can't touch it," because this was before the shit happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was totally in awe, like completely. And he's like, no, pick it up. And it weighs the same as a horseshoe. This fucking bike, I swear to God, like, I've cycled my whole life. I've had bikes my whole life. I know what bikes weigh. It took me about 20 minutes to, like, I was totally overwhelmed. I was like, I can't pick it up. Like he won the Tour de France with that bike. And he went, no, honestly, grab the saddle and pick it up, and it's literally.
Yeah, just so you could get the feel of it, basically. Yeah.
And it was mental.
there's a great film called The Program.
I think I've seen that. It's about the whole
it's
thing.
about the whole thing, how they done it,
Right.
how they, and because he basically made the whole team juice.
Oh, really?
The whole team had to be this, so they couldn't figure out. Well,
Ooh.
the whole team is actually doing
Elevated.
so it must be there must be doing something right. It was like they confused it as
Right.
well by juicing them all, and then whenever they came to get checked, the guys would show up to be checked. It was like trying to get rid of a traffic warden. Like, these guys didn't have a lot of power. Like, they were like, "Oh, we're here to check him." Well, he's sleeping. You'll have to wait. And what we're then doing is they were pumping him full of water and peeing it out and doing all their stuff to get rid of it all. But that is a great film called The Program.
MySpace.
MySpace. yeah. I was still going.
So yeah. So this is like early 2000s. So it was basically round about Hurricane Katrina.
Right, okay.
So two of the guys that I'd become mates with on this forum, mate DJ Battle Monkey and Joe Vasion. Joe Vasion was Queens, New York.
Right, okay.
And Noah,
Queens.
yeah, totally, man. And Noah, DJ Battle Monkey, he's Pittsburgh. So we were all in this forum, all talking and shit. And they decided to come over to London to basically do live screen print. It was my mate's shop called Bond, used to be on Newburgh Street in the corner. Again, was one of those shops that had Supreme Bather. This was around the same time as Jives and stuff. So we'd all become really, really good mates with all them. So KJ that owned it said, right, do you want to do, they were basically live screen printing t-shirts for charity for Hurricane Katrina. But it was a good excuse to come to the UK. We got loads of good shit actually that hooked up A-Side boy at Nike. And my mate Fats used to work at Gimme 5 as well. They basically, this was when Nike ID just started. But you couldn't do it. It was invite only. So it was basically this, it was the Nike ID house. Apparently it was a door or two doors away from Madonna's house in London. And it was this townhouse, man. It was like a boutique hotel. And you had to get invited. So it was like, and we were like, you have to make this happen. So basically, during this time, there was another guy that was on that forum who basically set up Hypebeast before Hypebeast happened. It was called Slam Hype.
Yeah.
And this was way before Hypebeast. It was probably 2 or 3 years before Hypebeast actually came in.
Massive now.
Yeah, but that was all to do with, you know, Mark Echo or somebody that put money into that, I think. So basically, Slam Hype was like any new shoes were coming. It was like basically doing what Hypebeast was doing, but like years before. So Adam came, he was Australian or New Zealand. He came over. Joe and Noah came over. Like loads of folk came. Basically, we all came from all over. Hung out for 2 or 3 days in London. But to go to Nike ID, make our shoes. So we got 1 free pair, but I ended up doing 3 pairs, I think. Like, did 2 pairs of Air Force Ones and a pair of basically Wimbledon's, but it's now called a Tennis Classic. So I did pink suede with purple swooshes.
It's like a colourway, man.
But when we were there was basically, we got squeezed in, and it was like literally done on an iPad. You picked your colours, what you do now, but literally you couldn't do it. Like it was, I think it was obviously preempting what was coming, and then there was artists in when we were there as well. So it was like a load of the Mo Wax guys. It was like Ben Drury, Emmett Keane. I'm trying to remember who else was all doing all the art at Mo Wax back then. We were having a good laugh with them. We knew a couple of them vaguely from the whole London thing, the Mo Wax thing and stuff. And did our shoes, got drunk on free champagne, eating mini burgers before I'd seen mini burgers anywhere else. It was just mental. Like waiters, like black tied waiters and everything. It was just cool.
All just in this one house, basically.
Yeah, there's like, honestly, like 3 floors, like, and it was all the folk that worked there. It started in Nighttown, but if they were cool, they kind of got stolen off to that. And my mate Cash, who used to be one of my other assistant managers in Jives, was involved with Nike doing all that shit back then as well, and then went to Carhartt and basically was setting up all the Carhartt stores when they opened as well. So it was kind of fucking, we stretch everywhere, man.
Yeah, man, it seems to be, yeah.
So rolling down the roads, heading back to Bond to get a couple of cans of Red Stripe and hang out, chatting to this dude, and I was like, so what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm an artist. I'm like, all right. Would I know any of your stuff? He went, nah, probably not. I was like, what's your name? He went, She Won. I'm like, dude, he did the Andrea Parker Mo Wax sleeve, and he was like, nobody knows that. Fuck, I did. I always look to see who's done artwork and shit. Chatted all the way back to Bond. Again, That's the big black one on the front. Like, absolutely one of my best mates.
Yeah.
Just every one of these guys had just become friends with, and just
Sounds like an inspirational thing, man.
it was just unreal. It was just absolutely unreal, like literally. And then
A lot of like-minded people all coming together.
and a lot of people that are all kind of mates with everybody else as well. It's kind of cool. So again, Everlast from House of Pain became friends with him through chatting to him on Instagram. But he's friends with Stash. So that kind of, because my avatar's that Stash tag thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of has kind of eased.
Conversation flowing a bit.
Like he's like, oh, you know, my boy, blah, blah, blah. And we'd met them. I've met him a couple of times after gigs in Glasgow, and it was after the last House of Pain gig. He's like, look, do you want to come back for a beer? And went back. And we were sitting talking, and he's like, dude, he goes, you fucking started that what we wear today. I saw you in MySpace doing that. You were the first person that did that. And you never got the credit for that. Because everybody, like Hypebeast, and everybody had it all on.
Did you start in the small shop then?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were in the small
Literally
shop, yeah.
Very, very.
Was that Whitehall Crescent?
Yeah, just at the very, very
You
end
can't
of that.
remember that one, can you?
And then we stripped out that one.
Which,
I remember the wee one, you used to walk in and all the jeans and that were on the middle and it was like Chippy El Charo, Liberto, yeah. Aye.
Yeah, so when I started doing the buying, I had to start doing maths
Right.
and budgets, and that wasn't as much fun. It was great. Doing the buying's great, but doing the maths at the end, it was shite. But it was great. It's like buying clothes and shoes are all I've ever been interested in.
there literally does seem like a dream.
Oh, it was great. I mean, and I've carved a career out of it for 30 odd years. But as you said, being in the right place at the right time, for Valentino's as a casual, to Jives with streetwear, to Manifesto, to the growth of brands. And then now I've kind of not got sick of menswear, but working in that industry. Now I'm doing something completely different, which has challenged me again.
Do you think the high street is dying
Oh,
badly?
it's dead now. Like fucking rents killed it, rates has killed it. Like, I mean, like one thing Forrest spoke about not that long ago was like with Zara shutting.
The bad one for taking out with Dundee.
It's like, what are girls going to come to Dundee for now? Which means
Free mark, where you can get everywhere.
like there's
And
no top shop.
That HMV next to Zara's gone now as well. Know how they had the HMV next to the Zara? I noticed that I was just in the town last week. Actually, there was an HMV. They used to have two in Dundee.
Oh yeah, next to the size building.
Yeah,
that one's gone as well. Yeah.
There's never an HMV in there.
Not an HMV, H&M.
H&M, yeah.
Oh, is that?
That's gone now.
It was funny.
I
I
was just
knew
in
he was
the
on about H&M, and I wasn't even hearing the HMV.
I worked this for 20 years. I can't
Yeah.
remember fucking HMV.
The size is gone now. Then H&M's gone, and the
H&M's gone now
Zara.
as
Yeah.
well. It's
There's
just
Greg's
totally-
There's a
Yeah.
Greg's still there.
But that's like what I was saying to you, like being in Edinburgh. Fucking buzzing. It's mental. It's just like.
Well, it's going to always be buzzing Edinburgh. It's a place to like do something like that.
But that's the thing. That's what we get loads of women in the Edinburgh shop are moaning about Aberdeen being shit. Obviously, there's no bird shops in Dundee now.
Uh,
So that's making Edinburgh and Glasgow
the place
a
to
day
go.
out.
Yeah, aye.
like it is a day out because then you'll go for lunch.
Yeah.
You'll go like whereas that's Dundee's fucked up because if like you're coming for Glasgow and say, oh, I want to go to Manifesto, I want to go to such and such. Girlfriend of that. Good day.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Aye.
No way.
Yeah, what does
Yeah.
that do for them
Aye.
here, basically?
And there's more to let signs in the town now than.
It's all charity shop.
Well, on the
Yeah.
Lumberside, that Wellgate, it's just.
But
most
the
of
worst thing is, the Overgate's getting like that now as
Yeah.
well. And Top Shop's
They're
gone.
saying they're
Topman's
trying to
gone.
bring stuff in just now. I
Debenhams is
don't know what
gone.
it
But
is.
if you've got USC and Sports
Direct
Direct coming out,
coming out
that's
of there.
another two coming out that end.
And that Sports Direct unit's massive.
Massive.
And that's got to be the biggest unit
Yeah.
in there, eh?
Next one.
Yeah, it's huge.
Huge.
Bigger,
The only other bigger one than that would have been Debenhams.
what I say the Debenhams in.
Yeah.
Debenhams
Yeah.
has got to be bigger than that Sports Direct.
Yeah, I think, but Debenhams is now gone.
No, but I think they're about to try and put Zara in there. That's what.
Is Zara coming back to Dundee then?
That's what I've heard. I'm not saying it's official, but I've heard they're trying really bad to put someone in there.
Oh, they're hate.
The rates is what kills
They'll
them.
let you somebody. They'll let you give free rent or something for about 20 years for somebody.
They need to do something.
Yeah.
They need some decent trainer shops in Dundee again.
My pal came up for
But obviously it doesn't work though.
Nah.
Because size didn't work.
No.
That should have worked.
But then Size used to always blame Manifesto for that.
Size did used to always blame Manifesto.
They did.
Size used to.
They used to.
On
They used to rip Manifesto
on
to
the way out,
shreds,
I asked, what is the problem here? And they says, we can't get nothing in because Manifesto are blocking it.
Good.
Because Manifesto had the Adidas
With the top tier.
for the top tier stuff, the premium stuff, So like they couldn't get Londons or anything.
But they just
like
make
that.
their own. That was the things. Like all the City series, like they just go in and go. Same with the Omega Flame. Apparently, like Nike never wanted to redo that. Never.
That's it.
Apparently, no. Dave White tried to do it years ago as a double pack, and they refused to do it. And apparently, that only got done by accident because it was too far into production.
Right.
From what I've
Really?
heard, yeah. And it couldn't be stopped.
I think that's a killer.
So I've got 2 pairs of them just in case that
That didn't happen.
they never ever
In case they
redo them
never come out
again.
I think that's a killer. I think you should never, ever do a legend like that. You know what I mean?
Shut up.
I don't think you should. I think it should just be left.
So what about somebody like me that's paid my dues, had all the originals, and they've all fallen a bit?
Would you not rather find the OG?
But what, I can't wear it though. Like literally, those Jordan 2s that you resold, right? Put them on, walking along, and it's not the first pair that's done it, and it's literally one of them. Someone's not right. So I'm like, it's all right because I've got an old pair of Jordan 4s in the shop. I'll put them on. So Greg ran up to you with them. I'm like,
Is this how this happened, actually? Yeah.
That's literally like I had them on my fucking feet, but I had a pair of black Jordan 4 breads
Right.
in the shop that were fucked, but I had them for walking Cooper when it was raining. So I thought, I'll just put them on. Still black and red, still match my outfit, no problem. I'm like that. But Cooper out, I'm like that. Something's not right. Fucking sole came off the Jordan 4s as well.
Oh, 2 in one day.
2 in one day, right? So I thought, fuck, I'm going to have to go and get another pair of shoes. So it split on one of the shoes. So I thought, I'll nip along the shoe and get a pair of Vans or something. Walking through the overgate, literally the whole shoe came off. I was literally walking with no sole on
The
the
midsole's
Jordans.
gone, you just got the tread and it's flat,
And I
man.
was just like, not like the sole came off, literally. So it was like a ballet slipper on. I was just like,
2 in one
this
day.
is-
I've never
this
heard
is
of
not
that.
my day, man.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
But my Jordan 5s, my original black Jordan 5s did it in Manifesto. Whatever. When were Jordan 5s from? 90?
Yeah.
I would say 90, yeah.
So it would have been probably 98, 99. I had them on with a pair of green Maharishis. And I was standing at the counter and I looked down and I noticed a load of dust on my Maharishis. And I'm like, because it was the ISIS fabric. It was like the best ever snow pants. They were covered in stir. And I was like, what the fuck's that? Off, man. This is when I lived in Brown Street. And I was like, looked in again. About an hour later, what's that coming for? And as I did it the third time, I just noticed the split right along the air bubble.
You don't know till it's too late, do you?
Well, because I still wore my shit. But I only put them on now and again because they were my favourites and I really liked them.
Actually, stuff for the 80s that outlasts loads of stuff that was made in
Loads
production
of
for the
cup sole
90s.
things,
Yeah.
like cup soles and that. But I've got a pair of Pegasus reissues that Foot Locker did. Must have been 97, 98. 1 for 1. It honestly is one of the best reproductions I've ever seen. It's got the old 8T stamp on it. Like, it looked like the whole fucking shit. But they were that good. They've all fucked on the inside. Like, they've made them that good. They look like they're about 30-year-old. But I've still kept them because they still look great. They had the fat swoosh and everything, like proper.
Yeah.
Would you be able to explain to me the pigeon shoe, the dunk?
Dunny. What do you want to know about it?
It's something that I get asked about quite a lot, and I don't know enough about it to actually. This is some of the stuff I would want to pick your brain about. These sort of ones.
Pigeon dunk was a phenomenon. It was
For New York City.
Yeah. But I think Jeff Staples stuck to one colourway that he's done for just about every brand now.
That's just the grey, I take it.
Grey with 2 shades of grey and a bit of pink. Yeah. But I mean, it was like it shut down a block. It was the start of queuing for sneakers.
Yeah.
It was it was a bit of a phenomenon.
This is the reason I asked you this
But I
question.
never really liked them that much, so I never tried to get a pair.
That's it.
They were all right.
That's one of the first ones that like things up queues for trainers. Like
Really?
that.
No, that was definitely, that was, yeah. But you had, like, round about that time, some of the best SBs at all came out. Like, both the Supreme Dunks were fucking magic. But they were relatively easy to get. Still got my white ones. Stupidly sold my black ones, which I always liked the white ones better, but now I think I like the black better because it's like the traditional Jordan colours, and I don't have them.
Yeah.
So there's that nagging thing. But like even like De La Souls, because they came out when we were in Hawaii for Futura's 50th. So everybody that was there ended up buying them. Like, so we were all rocking, like everybody that was invited was literally rolling about in fucking De La Soul SBs, man. And a stupid fucking, I flipped them as well.
Did you ever get the Dizzy Rascal Air Force One? Was it tongue in cheek or something?
I didn't like Dizzy Rascal that much, so it's not, like, I tend to either buy
What you want, what you like.
Yeah, I'll not buy something
Just for the sake of it.
No, never ever, never.
But that's a good way to
Same
buy,
with
yeah.
art as well. It's like I didn't buy art that you might like, but
You like it.
it's stuff that I like. Yeah,
Definitely, that's how you should. That's how it should be done. To be fair,
totally. But that's what sneakers should be. Like,
Yeah.
I like sneakers because I'm that old that I bought them for aesthetics or stupid colours. Because I've got relatively wee feet. I used to buy as many girls' pairs as I did guys.
Do that all the time.
well, people
Always,
still
man.
do that to the day.
Yeah,
The colourways you
but
get.
other folk don't.
better.
Other folk are totally zapped out by that.
Yeah.
I could never wear girls' shoes. Like, shut up.
I do it all the time.
Oh man, I used to get pink and sky blue.
The colourways the women get are like.
And they're much
Brilliant.
better, aye. And they always have been.
That's a problem. I can't do that. I'm a size 10.
See, I'm in
I can't- I still get that option.
Aye.
I'm fine. I always remember
But I think even go back to the 80s and the 90s, you'd make fucking shoes fit. Man, I was wearing 6s and fucking 10s. Like, literally, like, when you'd insoles would be out, insoles would go in, you'd have 5 pairs of socks on. But that was shoes you were picking up for 18 quid, 20 quid, 25 quid. Guaranteed, if you're my age, you looked at a sale rail before you ever looked at the new stuff. Because it was all, but a sale rail was not like size or JD's sale rail. A sale rail was like great shoes.
But even for like, see the Adidas world, even 10 years ago, they sales rails. Some of these shoes now are going for fuck Adi sweds. How much you expect to pay for Adi sweds? London churches, you'd be looking at about 600, 700 quid.
Really?
For £35. They were in the sales rails. It's the same
So
sort
you're
of thing.
doing what I'm.
Yeah.
You're literally doing what I was doing with these.
Yeah.
Like mental.
I'm about 30 years behind you.
I went in the manifesto about 6 months ago, bought a pair of Adidas Bermuda. You must have just had them sitting through the back. They were fade 2000. Remember?
The
I ended up
mint,
buying them.
the mint
and
fucking
I
ash green
loved
ones.
them, but they were a 7A. And I tried, and I
And
could get away
Adidas
with
is-
that.
I can't in Adidas. My feet are too fat.
And I tried them, and I was like, and I tried it, and I said, you know what, they're not going to work. So I put them in Chris's shop, and they went like that. But you must have had them sitting through the back for years.
Manifesto.
2017.
Is it am I right in thinking that you've got the 35th best trainers shop in the world?
Yeah, what was that in again?
Can't remember, but I remember you got the title.
Was that nuts or some? Was it something like that?
Someone I was at the
one
time.
of them, yeah.
I think it was a well deserved accolade or whatever you want to call it because
Yeah.
I mean, that's down to my knowledge of shoes. I would say. Maybe
What
my
was
history.
the first shoe that Manifesto sold that people queued up for?
Travel Fox.
Told you. He thinks they're hideous.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Late
people were
80s.
queuing up for Travel
aye.
Fox.
Oh mate, you couldn't get enough of them. And
Honestly, Travel Folks are massive.
Gregorio
When they
Rizzo
were out.
Wallabies as well.
I got a pair of them out of Manifesto.
So I'd fucking hunt because we had them in Valentino. So I'd like the problem with Valentino's was unfortunately probably what killed Henry was especially us at work in the shop. We never paid for anything. But you give him a tenner. Go, I'll give another tenner. Like these fucking new stuff came in. You're in the box and like best company sweatshirts on before they've even fucking been put out.
But
And then I'd sell it to somebody 2 weeks later but forget to give Henry any money.
So you got for a tenner.
Aye, but it turned out he wasn't. Aye, but then it turns out he wasn't paying my tax or national insurance anyway. So,
Alright.
so I didn't find out until the shop then went in the
So
chips.
they were queuing back then for
Aye, but I remember, like even Forey saying as well, but Henry like going down to buy those wallabies, like they were purple, red, pink, green.
red purple
And they had
one.
floral bits, like the Stussy Clark's ones.
Yeah.
And it had the Stussy ones got the paisley around them. It was like a floral bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I put beads on the laces, and everybody was doing mad shit with them. But
What year was this, sorry?
must have been 88 or 89. And I can't remember if it was Henry or Forey saying that like you'd go down and it was the boot store on King's Road that were wholesaling. And they weren't just wholesaling them at Dundee. Remember, this was massive. In London, this was huge. And literally, Forey said you would go down and they'll go, right, I've got 12 pairs in yellow. And they'll laugh, I'll take them. It was like literally queues of folk trying to wholesale, like, and then driving them up.
Like someone on Wall Street.
It was. That's exactly what it was like back then.
And
And that's what Forey still says to this day. If I'd known then what I know now,
Yeah.
he'd be lying on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Like between the soul to soul stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like you could never get enough of it. Like things like that, travel fox. Literally, you were selling them in a weekend, but the weekend started on a Thursday.
Man, was that high.
Yeah.
This was
Oh,
just
mess.
street, man. This is pre-internet, like pre-anything like
This was
this.
before mobile phones. This was like literally like going to Fatty's.
Yeah.
Seeing what you were seeing.
It would start on a Thursday night in Fatty's. It would be like a rave all day during the day in the shop.
I used to go on the music. Used to play,
Learn. But everybody's
Honestly,
still be out there
Blair.
not for the night before.
Yeah.
Literally.
but then you've seen so many brands come and go,
Oh, aye.
and some come back again.
Definitely.
And like, as I say, like I remember when I was young, 15, 90s, probably talking Chippy,
Yeah.
El Charo, Liberto, I think what else would be in it then?
When did CP and Stone Island start to see that people wearing them?
Well, when we were one of the first stores at Stone Island. Like nobody would go near it because it was too expensive. And the people that were showing it actually paid for Forey to go down to come and buy it because like hardly MD was coming. So I think that was 1990. We were like, we were used to selling sweatshirts at like 100 quid, 90 quid. These were about that to buy in. We were like, ain't he's going to buy that?
When did it take off, really? For the streets, to the street football side of it.
Early 90s, like definitely. Like it wasn't right away, but it kind of went.
I've heard
but
people
once-
say that they've not really seen it to about 95 sort of thing. That's when they were maybe starting to see it on the terraces.
Nah, we definitely had it in 90.
You had it in 90.
Oh, aye. Yeah, because I remember I was in Kennedy's at the time. It was just before I moved to Glasgow. And we built extra shelves to get
Put that there.
these sweatshirts on. Yeah. And it was the Stone Island script with the compass in the front.
Yeah.
People buying it.
Not really.
Too expensive.
But they were like 150, 160 quid, which was like the only thing that had ever been close to that was Best Company, but Best Company had kind of disappeared by then. But Best Company was like,
This is in the height of the raving times as well, eh?
yeah.
So it's like the casual scene sort of died out a bit for the time being.
A lot of the casuals kind of got more involved in the rave scene.
Ecstasy.
Oh, aye, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. But it's changed everything.
Have
Like,
these loving
absolutely
each other and
changed
all
it,
this
yeah.
stuff.
But literally, guys that we were scrapping with,
And they're hugging each other.
aye, like literally, when the space of a week, literally, like guys we've been fighting with, see them in Fatty's on a Saturday night, like guys like John Towell, like people like that, like he's literally got barred from the week before, and the next thing you're hugging each other. How many you on, man? Blowing your whistles. It's fucking magic. Honestly, as you said, like I'd literally been in the right place at the right
Yeah,
time
the right time, man.
by complete fluke and an interest in always moving forward. Like always
Your mind's got to be like that
watching
to be
what's
in this
going
game.
on.
Yeah.
You've got to watch what's going on.
And the
You've
game
You've got
you're
to,
in,
like you say, you've got to protect what you think's
But
going to
that's
come
what kind
next.
of pisses me off now about kids with there's no searching for anything anymore. Like everything's there
Yeah.
for a price. You know what I mean? You're not getting a fucking overnight bus to London.
Yeah.
Do you know, like,
Getting your head kicked in going through Edinburgh
like
just to get a sweatshop. Aye.
Literally to get something that one of my mates doesn't
It's,
have.
it's an experience that the youth are never going to experience, and it's really, really sad. Really sad, because this is what I mean.
Again, I think that's why this like your customers are so much on nostalgia, because we couldn't afford half this shit when we were kids. Literally, like I was 13, 14-year-old, I had like a paper round and a roll round. Because my mum and dad had split up pretty, like about 85, 86. And I was like, Mum, I want them. She's like,
Off you pop
you better get a fucking mayor job
I
then.
worked on the Bonaccord lemonade lorry when I was 13.
Had the paper on denim ultra.
I was on the papers, like, but
that was like 5-10 quid a week, but trainers were only 16, 17, 20 quid, 30 quid for really expensive ones. But that was your mates who were apprentice joiners were buying.
People weren't taking trainers like glass in these days either. You got a pair of trainers and like they'd done you,
Oh, you wore the arse
because you couldn't afford to buy fucking loads. And that's what I was saying, going back to the grey Armani sweat in Dundee and the navy one in Perth. Literally, like, you'd sell it because you'd buy something off of somebody else.
Yeah.
You'd sell that to somebody, and that was the good thing about working in Valentino's, is like, I'd fucking pay a 10 or 15 quid.
People still do it today, just eBay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Even the groups on Facebook, there's people selling stuff all the time.
It still
and
goes
I
on
used to be
today.
really precious and no sell anything.
Yeah.
That's just sold. Fuck, I sell anything now. And it was during lockdown, actually, and I'd like got too much stuff. And like, it used to be really bad for if I liked something, I would get every colour in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Rubber collector.
Anal geek, I think, is probably one of it. But it was like, look at them, go, right, I've got 4 of them. Wear those 2. Didn't really wear them 2. eBay, gone. And sometimes you get great money for it, sometimes you get nothing. But if you're selling a load of it, I never saved anything, I just bought more stuff.
Serious investment, like in some ways. It's,
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've made a fortune flipping shoes, but I probably would have made more now if I'd kept them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I sold Spud on my Supreme stuff.
This is the thing, is that if you can only keep them on forever for so long.
I'm not that guy. Like, I literally sold Spud nearly every bit of Supreme I had, and I've had a lot of rare Supreme stuff going back to the 90s that I just never threw out. And I was getting 40, 50 quid a t-shirt for Spud. Because I was working in Jives, I was getting paid 15 quid for them. I took a lot of money off Spud, but Spud flipped them for even more money.
Oh.
And everybody at work was like, oh, you must be good. And I'm like, well, they're not mine anymore. I'm no that. I didn't like, I had it. Yeah, I had them once. I didn't really make that. No. I've kept the stuff I like.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what
guessing a lot of the stushy stuff then.
I've probably been buying more back.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've just been, like, because you get cheap as fuck and nobody wants it. Or it's like shit like this. There's only certain people who would wear it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, double RL, still buy loads of that. Still buy loads of Ralphie.
I love Ralphie for the 90s hip-hop aspect of stuff, like all the bright colours.
Again, well, like I've worn Ralphie as a casual. My dad, because my uncle used to live in Arizona, so anytime my dad went over, like, what do you want? It's like Ralph Lauren. So I had loads of Ralphie back in the 80s when it wasn't really that much over here. Wore it in the 90s because it was a massive hip-hop thing.
Yeah.
Alcoholics with pony caps right through. And then wore it. I've worn Ralphie my whole life, pretty much. Worn Stussy my whole life. Like, I've got photos of me in Jives. I'm dressed fucking nearly exactly the same. Like, flannel work shirts, a ball cap, good sneakers.
Timeless.
Yeah. But it's literally like, and like, I've got a couple of my old Stussy shirts that I said, and old Ralphie. I've got old Ralphie larges that are fucking bigger than some of the XLs I've got from now.
Yeah. You ever seen how much that Snow Beach jacket goes? Gone wore that.
Yeah. I think it's nobody wore them.
I know.
Back then.
The reissue, they're trying to get about $3,000 for it now.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I love that top. But
Spud, that's one of Spud's favourite bits as well, man.
It's just so iconic, man. You know what I mean? Manifesto's an institution for somebody.
It's a Dundee.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that?
Kept Dundee.
And I'm dead proud of
What it's done.
what I did there and how long we were there for.
Well, remember you sent David Beckham a pair of jeans, didn't you?
Yeah, that is the famous story, is it? Yeah.
Fucking grew arms and legs. So basically, what happened was.
Was it not the gold stitch?
Yeah, it was the millennial.
I remember them in the
They were
case
done
when I was a kid.
Yeah. So they were done.
Was it 1250?
Yeah.
Oh,
But they were never ever for sale.
They were just a showpiece.
They were a showpiece, and every shop was getting them for 2 weeks. And I think we were the third shop that got them. Guy Colin that used to run Evisu back then, like we'd literally got them the day before, and he's like, right, I need them back. And I was like, fuck off. Like, everybody's meant to get them for 2 weeks. And he went, no, I need them sent down to Selfridges in Manchester. I was like, what for? But I can't tell you. He says, well, I'm not giving you them back. You told me 2 weeks. I only got them yesterday. That's no fair.
Yeah.
And he went, no, this is dead serious. This guy wants to buy them. And I was like, well, unless you tell me who it is, I'm not going to give you them. So one of my mates used to work for the DC Thompson at the Courier. And I'd said to Ford, I'm going to get her. We'll do a piece about them being like these jeans. And we went along to, is it Henderson's Jewelers?
Oh, yeah.
And shot them in the window, with all the diamonds and precious jewels with the £1,200 price tag and stuff on them. And I'd said to Jane, look, would you, a bit in the Courier, maybe try and get it in the PA, the person advertiser, just a bit of free advertising for us.
Yeah.
And she was like, she goes, I didn't work for them anymore. I'm working for an agency now. Let's get a photographer organised. And yeah, that'd be class. That'd be a good bit. In between that, Colin had phoned back and said, I really need these jeans. And I was like, why?
I really need the name.
32 waist, 24 karat gold stitching. They were done for the millennium. And I was like, unless you tell me who it is, I'm not getting you one. It's David Beckham.
This time's
Super, anything he wore, if we had it, you'd sell it that day, sell it out. And you hate to remember, Evisus were 150 quid at the time, which,
well,
there was jeans on
the first pair I bought were 150.
No, I think the 150 was the jeans, the ones you're wearing. I'm sure
they were 275.
Right, so I think they were maybe 290, 300 quid. Proper Japanese loomed, on the old Levi's looms and everything. So we were like, lucky if you'd sell a pair every 6 weeks. Turns out I told her it was Beckham. Put it on the wire. I think it made something like 8 national newspapers. It was on Breakfast. It was on GMTV and everything.
It was on GMTV?
Oh, mate, it was mental. It was on everything, right? Beckham mentioned it in his book, said he was going to buy these jeans, but there was too much press coverage. So he just thought it wasn't cool. He didn't know what he was rocking about, and jeans that everybody knew he paid 1,200 quid for. I'm sure he probably would have got them for nothing, to be quite honest with you. And then we had the PR company that worked for Evisu phoned for it, going absolutely ballistic. When you shouldn't have done that, you should have run it through us. Forey's like that. You couldn't buy advertising like that. Fuck off. But they phoned it. We literally went from that to selling 4 or 5 pairs a day.
All I remember is Dundee with Evisu. It was one of the first jeans that I remember seeing.
I bought the first pair with the really dark blue ones, just with a sort of cream.
That was when it was the seagull rather than the snail.
They were probably about £150. I wore them on Hogmanay, and I went out with my mates, and I swear to God, I got the piss ripped out of me. They were like, who the fuck do you think you are, David Beckham? And I swear to God, within maybe a month, 2 months, everybody was wearing them. Then I went out, and I think I must, what many pairs have I showed you? I've got about 4 or 5 pairs.
But there was rumours that he landed on a helicopter on fucking Arnott's roof and all this shit. It was like, honestly, the stories that came from that was mental. But literally, I swear to God, man, it was a phenomenon.
Yeah,
you just saw what happened.
But then, as I say, it came and it gone, and it was back again.
Yeah,
it's funny that he's had to mention it in a book. That's fucking brilliant.
Totally.
That is brilliant. You know what I mean?
That's definitely one Like you've
Yeah,
got to
that,
tell.
even like you're saying either on the phone going mental, you're like, fuck off. You know, you're
Totally.
getting
Thought it
talked
was just
about.
like, mate, like literally, we've went for a pair every 2 months at like 5-6 a day. Like,
and they're selling between 100 to
but they're
200,
selling
300
out
pound.
everywhere.
Aye.
Like, they
Aye.
couldn't get them, enough of them after that.
It's all like war for
Yeah.
a while there.
Best jeans were the best jeans around.
They're
at that
having
time.
a resurgence just now.
Aye, but what I think what they've done is good because it's went proper luxury again. It's like they've not went down the jeans route.
Right.
Like the jeans were 120 quid, didn't have salvage. These are going back to the really good denim. The sweats and everything are brilliant weight. The embroidery is unbelievable on them as well. But again, to go
That's
with
what you
all
want to
that-
hear, is it?
Yeah, plus like to compete with like say your Gucci and shit like that folk are wearing more and more of. You've got to kind of be up there with that kind of quality
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
as well.
It's like this Palm Angels.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
All the brands
I've
are
not
just,
quite seen the quality in the Palm Angel stuff, but
a lot of people are saying
I
that.
look at them and think, is it worth that money?
Yeah.
But
A lot of people are saying that.
that's the problem with things like Balenciaga and things like that. Didn't get me started in their shoes.
Get started, go for it, because one of
We
the
had this conversation
it's
last
that
week.
whole fucking
years,
Like-
they've got other brands have got years upon years of manufacturing over these sort of like.
yeah.
What I mean,
It's not just
Comfort
that.
wise.
It's like the kids are
Most
buying them.
hideous pair of
Yeah, but
trainers
kids
I've
are
ever
buying them
seen.
because they've been told they're cool. They're not looking at them. There's nobody in their right mind's looking at that going,
That's
that's
smart.
a really good shoe. That.
a lot of the girls are wearing these triple S's.
Yeah.
A lot of them, because they're constantly coming in me to repair them. Because
But that's a Terra Albus. Like the main shape of that shoe, the middle bit of that shoe is a Nike Terra Albus, which is not an ACG but a trail runner. Because I was going mental when they came out. It's like, it's a fucking total rip of fucking Nike. Like literally, I think it's the third sole and the actual shape of the shoe. If you look at a Terra Albus,
the
that's
same.
I was
exactly
thinking
what it is.
McQueen's. It's just a fucking Stan Smith
Aye.
with a big thick sole on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet,
They're
But there's loads of folk wearing snide stuff now, which my generation, I would never, nobody would wear fake clothes.
oh,
But
right,
nobody cares anymore. Which I
Nah,
think's
they
mental.
just want that sort of label. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I wouldn't dream of buying.
no, nobody would.
Yeah.
Like, our generations
No.
wouldn't.
No,
But apparently kids don't care anymore.
No, they just want
Which is-
the name, do
That's
they?
not cool.
it's
I didn't
definitely
like that at all.
For me, if I would want to wear something, it has to be cool. You would have to be drawn
Yeah.
to it.
It's
Sort
got to
of
be
thing.
legit. It's got to
Yeah.
be absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's got to be legit is one of the main things. It's
Oh,
got
yeah,
to be.
absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
See, for me,
Again, that's going back to them not paying their dues again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's literally like the quick option
yeah.
instead of like,
They're paying 150 quid for fake McQueens.
really?
Is that how much your fakes are?
Swear to
Wow.
God. That's how much they're paying for fake McQueens.
That's crazy, yeah.
You can still get a pair. You can get them cheap.
Jeans are £75.
I know.
They're paying that money for the fakes. I don't even know
How
what
mu-
the
how
sock
much- how
runners
much
would be. You know, the
How much are the
Balenciaga
real ones then?
ones at
The McQueen's, about 300 or
50,
50.
400, I think.
Aye.
Round about that.
150 quid for fake shoes.
That's mental.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. And I've heard stories as well about specifically flannels in Manchester and Newcastle selling fake McQueens behind the counter, and when people have came back with a receipt and says these are fake or these are thing, you have showed me them. You're like, no.
But was did
Wow.
cruiser that not get done for Stone Island before? It was meant
Possibly.
to be that came from China or something as well. There was people speaking about that on one of the groups I'm on
Island talk or
Facebook.
something.
Yeah.
Said it before, I'll say it again. There's a shop in Dundee that sells a few fakes. No name it.
Doesn't give you much choice, does it? There's Manifesto and
Going back to Manifesto, right? For me personally, I think the shop Manifesto has installed the trainer game in
Yeah.
Dundee, which was established. And me personally, I find so many old, especially ZX runners, or just these old City Series models, whatever it is may be, with that Manifesto sticker on the box.
But the problem we had was Adidas. Adidas's lack of vision drove me fucking mad. I mean, you guys know I'm more a Nike head than
Yeah.
anything, but I know my history,
Yeah.
man. I was there, I did see it. And every year I'd go to Dubai, or every season I'd go to Dubai, and there's no ZX in it. And I'm like, look, why don't you start at the start, 220s, then every season do an OG colourway, And you got what? 20, 30 shoes? Easily.
Just the 3 digits.
No offence, but 8,000s and 10,000s, that's not my shit. Like, the first lot and then up
See, the Aquas
the
is my old
710s
thing.
and stuff like that. But you're old.
I was
You're
going to be
younger
wearing
than me.
710s tonight, actually.
See,
Well, that was
see,
the
see,
last
Aqua-
ZX I had.
Was it?
It was a 710.
Love the 710, man.
Brilliant
Love
shoe.
the 710.
But, and you get 700s in about 8 different colours, but none of them the OG colourway. And you're like, what's that
I've
about?
And that's what I
I've got
said
a
to
pair
you
in
the
my
other
shop
day.
right now.
When they bring these out, why do they not just bring out the OG?
But then you've got Gary Aspen doing that shoe, was it last or 2 special drops ago that looked like the 600?
The Ashurst.
Yeah.
Horrible.
But it's not a 600.
I was at Sydney.
It's quite a nice shoe.
But then they brought the lower tree out.
I
that
never
looked
liked
like
that.
Yeah.
The
Oh, we
colourway
fucking-
of the 600 as
Yeah.
well.
I liked the OG lower 3. I thought that was a beautiful shoe.
Yeah.
What, the purple and green one?
Ruined that.
Yeah. Because you had the
We-
yellow and grey
Yeah.
lower 3 in
But
Manifesto,
any
didn't you?
ZX looking colourway, I'll buy it because I
Yeah.
know that we'll sell it out.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely sell it. Because you've still got everybody who wants.
Yeah.
But, like, to have that history, like, you can still do 40 colours in a 700, but do the red, white, and blue.
They're the
Yeah,
one that
do-
everybody
do the
wants.
But, like,
Yeah.
there's so many shoes. Like, how many was in the first lot of ZXs?
Digits, I don't know. You start the 220 and then you end up with like the 930. I think that was the last one. So
But 930 and the 710s, that was the second hit. They must have been about 87, 88.
I think the 930 is 89 or maybe 80.
But I'm probably
Yeah,
right, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Well,
probably.
the Torsion came out in 89.
Yeah, they're the later
8,000
ones.
Didn't that? Yeah.
The top. Well, yeah, that comes in
Then
later.
reveal ZXs.
You've just drove a knife through my heart.
That's what I mean. He's Mr. 8000.
I must say about 40 pairs of 8,000.
I love the 3 digits. For me,
Right.
both the made in
Totally,
France
but that's
stuff.
what I grew up
I love
with.
them all. I love them all, to be
But
honest.
I hardly had any of them. But between me and my mates, everybody had pretty much a pair of them.
Yeah.
But mostly 500, 600,
Well, 600 is the most iconic, but apparently the 700 was the higher end one of that range, was it not?
800 was the highest.
800 is my grill.
800.
Absolute grill.
800s. Like a few of my mates had the 800s.
Yeah, because they went
And
up in
then-
price, didn't they?
Then we always
Every-
talked
yeah.
about the Micro Pacer being like the unofficial
Yeah.
top ZX. Like that was like the dream shoe.
Just because it was
The
that.
250s are probably one of my favourite.
250s are a great shoe. The whole range. If you go like the
It's brilliant,
450s
yeah.
especially, is probably the most talked about ever. Today, this is the first time I've seen an OG colourway one. We got it particularly
Brilliant
just
shoe.
for you coming in, but I haven't seen.
Deck's not getting them back. I'm
I think you should just tag them with
I
you.
think so.
It's like that shoe.
I'll take that for the watermelon.
Yeah.
It's not getting seen every day. It's not getting seen everywhere. Like,
But there's another myth. 2008, Stockholm, did people queue up outside Manifesto for them?
Remember, that was a long time.
a lot of
people say
people,
they do it.
say to me they were there queuing up for it.
Probably.
I think
Well, we
it's
did.
enough.
I remember another one that I managed to pull, and it was the only time Adidas really did us a favour. And it was in the vintage tier, which was the tier above top, which was like Hannon and places like that. And they brought out the vintage Gazelle, the original shape, but they did tangerine and black,
All right, okay.
right? And you'll hate this.
I like that.
Well, of course, 40 being 40 was like, look, I need to get them. Can't be fucking serious. And they're like, can't I let you hear them? I can't let you hear them. And then I'm mates with Brian and Bohan and just said to them, look, would you mind? Because they're massive Aberdeen fans. And they're
Yeah.
like, nah, man, we get it. That's cool. So I phoned the Adidas back and said, look, Brian and that are cool, yeah? Brian and Ed have no issue with us getting them. Can you sort us out? How many would we need to buy to make it cool? I think it was 80 pairs or something. Remember, we used to buy maybe 20, 30 a line, maybe 40 on a ZX. They're like, well, if you take 80, you can have them. And we got them in, and I literally emptied every box, and we had them piled up in a big pile, big window. And honestly, every single one of them. And I'm
That
putting-
colourway here is going to work.
But
every
again,
time.
no, there was only us and Han and had them in Scotland. But loads of United fans. Didn't
Ended
so
up
many
with them,
Dundee fans.
Couldn't hang out a worse colourway.
Just actually got a question got sent in here, or no a question.
Question has been sent
Well,
in.
my cousin, you know my cousin Lee Thompson. Aye,
Yes.
so he said I sent him a picture of you because he messaged me and I says no, we're still recording. But he sent he's like
He's probably I've heard my phone going actually.
He said, the best thing I bought out of Manifestos was I don't even know what this is. MHI and Futura hoodies. He said Scott phoned us and I went straight down. He said it was the best thing he bought.
Well, that's another story as well. There's a couple of Maharishi pieces. So that Futura exhibition I was on about that was in the Maharishi shop, there was loads of pieces of art and obviously that he'd done for it. And I just lost my gran at the time and I always wanted to buy a painting. So I'd got left a bit of money. I thought, I'm going to buy a Futura piece, what I'm into anyway. And was done a diptych, 2 paintings. One of them was brilliant, the other one was really good. And Hardy, the own Maharishi, apparently said because it was us for Manifesto, he would split the diptych, but he was keeping the better one. And I was like, fair dues, do you know what I mean? Like, his shop, like, literally. So, mate Nash, who was over in Paris with us for Tour de France, used to work at MHI. He customised his shoes, actually. He did an Adidas not that long ago. Alex Nash. You can look that one up. He used to made like mock toes on, like moccasin toes on shoes and stuff. Like unpicked them and really, really cool shit. Way ahead of its time. Like before a lot of folk were customising. So instead of shipping the painting, Nash phoned me and he says, look, we're going to come up. We're going to drive it up in the Maharishi van because it's cheaper for Hardy. For us to do it, we'll just bring your painting up. I'm a fucking magic.
Maharishi van?
In the Maharishi van. So they drove up. We put them up in, what was that wee hotel that was above the underground? It was like a wee boutique. Howie's? It was called Howie's. They had a couple of rooms, nice, so we'd booked them in there because we were staying in the flat in Brown Street. It was like one bedroom, it was like no room, but a long hall. So Nash, that came up in the van, bring the crate in, opened it up, he brought the good in. I was like, fuck. And this is the one they used for all the sweatshirts, all the t-shirts, they'd used this artwork.
Is that what the one that remember they used to come up the trousers as well?
Yeah, but the one was basically it's white background with like a big black sort of circle and loads of black dots and loads of red dots on it.
Right.
But the one they'd actually used for all the t-shirts and everything is now in my house. And Hardy's got the one that's still pretty good, but it's not as good as that one.
Good.
And honestly, I've not, like, and apart, like, if Hardy doesn't deal with things very well, I think he's like meant to be the most zen guy in the world, but goes off like a fucking rocket. Ash's face when I was like, that's the wrong one, and he just went, oh fuck. I was like, I'm not taking it back and coming back with the other end. I was like, no, you're not. I'm not.
You're gonna get some more CCTV after this podcast goes out.
He doesn't live in Brown Street anymore.
Yeah, he's gone. He's not here anymore. We got up to David Beckham on Manifesto. We got sort of the trainer. We got the question in about the 2008 Stockholm.
You can't remember.
I can't really remember it, but that must have been the start.
You bring in the Dublins and the Londons.
Yeah, we had all that shit.
That really is the birth of the City series, like, to me.
So that would be what, 2008? 2008?
They've done no,
the Dublins were before that, I think. They must have done Dublins about 4 times before.
2001, 2003, 2008, 2010, 2017.
So there you go. They'd done it 3 times before they even dropped
17 was a size exclusive, wasn't it? Yeah.
But Dublin's was one of these shoes you could put 60 pairs
because
and sell
well,
them.
the chunky pairs at the start.
Size got them because you had to queue up for them. Dublin.
I remember the queue was outside size. Yeah.
Because size wouldn't have got them.
No, size just produced them.
You could put that on your CV. You shut down size Dundee.
That's quite a good one, actually. But yeah, I keep forgetting what I'm going on about, to be honest with you.
That was just the time trail in Manifesto.
The time trail.
I remember where we're up to.
Yeah.
As I say, like for me, I've seen so many brands go through Manifesto.
But that's the thing, that's what we always try to do, is just keep
Yeah.
moving ahead.
But as
man.
I say, it's them brands from back then, that's still what I want.
Yeah.
And I love my best company
It's like
sweatshirts.
we
I
were
love
on
my
about
old
fake
Stone
London
Island.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Remember Fake London, man?
Brilliant brand. Absolutely brilliant brand.
I've not heard that mentioned for it.
No, it was the
Ages.
guy that took it over, just killed it stupidly.
Did Manifesto ever sell Pop 84?
No,
I didn't
Valentino's
think so. I
did.
went up to Aberdeen to get
Yeah,
some stuff.
Valentino's, we used to sell Pop 84,
Mhm.
Ferrucci, Classic Nouveau, Best Company, Appaloosa, which was Ferrucci.
Manifesto sell Best Company as well, didn't they? Yeah. I remember getting a couple of things.
Retour, Replay,
Replay.
As well,
There was
yeah.
another one.
EP Bonneville, which was the precursor to Stone Island, Timberland, all that shit, man. Soviet, my God.
Oh, Soviet. What about
Chippy.
Destroy?
Yeah. Well,
Destroy,
that was a fuck up. Manifesto got Destroy. We got Nick Coleman.
Right,
The
okay.
same guy sold, but it was actually the guy that sold the mono shirts that Scott Breacon bought.
Right.
He had Nick Coleman and Destroy, but he wouldn't give us.
Was Destroy a more, like, was that the Ravers that wore all that, wasn't
And
it?
Nick Coleman as well,
Yeah,
but
aye.
Destroy blew up.
Machino as well.
Machiko Casino,
Yeah.
oh my God, man. That was, yeah, good
Now,
times.
the
man,
other
big
night
brands.
I met my wife, she had a Machino belt on.
I just came back with a vengeance again, like the past
Yeah.
couple of years, is it?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it back in my youth and then it just disappeared for years. But
Naff did. That was another one.
Yeah,
that
Naff was huge.
that
back
was
then, wasn't
huge.
it?
I think that was one of the most.
Anything that sounded vaguely continental
Yeah.
was like literally like if
What's
it
the
had
point?
Yeah, like
if
El
it had-
Chavo, Liberto,
yeah, if it
aye.
had vowels in it, man, we were all over it. Man.
Oh, a wee dash above a letter.
Aye,
Aye.
totally.
Yeah.
Like and like Henry Gallinotti would tell you it was Italian and could have been anything.
look, the styles are starting to go a lot more plainer, I would say, nowadays. Everything just like sort of plain.
I think it's probably off the back of the likes of Bathing Ape and things like that being
Mhm.
quite out
Out
there.
there.
I think and like billionaires,
The engineered garments, all this sort of stuff. You're starting to see that, like,
just nice and
yeah, just
Yeah.
nice and clean stuff. Yeah.
Definitely.
But
But I don't know if that's down to age as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
I was doing that for years and I sort of got bored of it. You know what I mean? I was just thinking, I'm too plain. I need to
Yeah,
spice
see,
it up
just
a
now,
bit.
Yeah.
I can't get enough over. I just love overshirts now.
For sure.
That's
Overshirts,
here.
a t-shirt, and a pair of shorts.
That's how you kind of get pissed off with summer because all you're talking about is shorts and t-shirt. Whereas
Yeah.
get layers on, spring it on, and that's my shit, man. It's still relatively dry, so you don't fuck your shoes up.
This is it, yeah.
That's how I've got to buy two pairs that everyone I like. Which drives the wife insane.
Is there anything we want to go back over? Because if we're going to let this guy go home.
Yeah. I told my wife it was only going to be an hour.
You did.
Yeah, exactly.
You know me better than that. Jesus.
She did say you're a liar.
My favourite thing of the night was hearing you were on the phone to Mike D. I fucking loved
Oh,
that.
mate, that was just, it was one of those. What now?
My whole thing's just going through the whole because
I feel like I don't want to let him go yet because I feel like I'm going to watch it back and I'm going to be
I
a
think
shit.
we'll
I
have to
fucking
go
forgot
We'll
that.
just do an arm
I
one.
think we'll have to
We'll do an
go
arm one, man.
I think you have
Definitely.
to. Being Wilson, you need to write a book.
But then we'll just find out for people.
I'm right in saying that there's no one more qualified to tell about the way the street brands have been. Well, the streets have went in Dundee especially for the past
Not for
30
me.
years.
Not for
There's
me.
no anybody else I could think of.
That's humbling as fuck.
Not for
Thank
me.
you.
As I say,
You were there. You were there.
It's-
aye.
It's been, because that's what I'm into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into. Like music,
I
clobber.
started
sneakers.
going in the manifesto in the 90, probably
Yeah.
about 90. Then, as I say,
I started
Ever
going to
since
Manifesto in about 2003 and I didn't buy anything until about 2005.
you saving up.
Yeah, I was saving up to get my first thing, man.
Uh,
But yeah, it's been fucking brilliant. Thank you so much for coming
no,
down.
no problem. Loved it, man.
I try to pick his brain as much as we could.
But
Yeah.
let's just do another one.
Yeah, mate, we'll do another one.
Cut it off now about 2005.
And then
Now
we'll
we've
get another
got.
top five. That was the
Yeah.
other five.
The
that I
thing
couldn't
with the
even mind of.
podcast, we want to go over as much trainer information as we can.
Yeah.
I'm heavily Adidas. That's the way
Yeah.
it is. And like, what,
See, I was more like, I was into everything, eh?
Well, it's when
Then
I
until
said
I
when I
met Chris,
gave
yeah.
you those Terra Albus to do, which is what the Triple S has ripped off.
yeah.
That, and you're like, going, I've never really done Nikes.
Mm-hmm.
I was
I
like,
never get them. I never get
No.
like I learned when I got that Jordan 1 that I'm still doing just now.
Yeah.
I was like trying to like find out some information about that. I was like, you need to speak to Wilson. You need to speak to Wilson. So I went like, fuck, I'm not going to speak to Wilson. Went down and within the first minute, you gave me the information that there was a bubble in that shoe. It's so simple and easy to think of, but Yeah, the Air Jordan. But I had no clue there was a bubble in that sole unit.
But that's what fucked up on them as well. As soon as I was like, fuck's sake, man.
Yeah, it was just.
But the 2 has got to be one of the comfiest shoes going. DJ Battle Monkey that was on about earlier, he's got hundreds of them.
So you've got 2 pair of them, yeah?
Yeah, because I had the
you've got
original.
another pair here, haven't you?
I've never had the originals, but they re-released them in '93. And when Gordon used to go to LA to do Lucy by at Laguna in Costa Mesa, there was a night town. It was one of the first night towns. And he got me Jordan 2s, got me Jordan 1s black and red the year before issue, Jordan 2s in '93. And I kept them as basically the other ones I brought with the black sole. The original, I always liked the lows better than the highs. And still had them up until 6 months ago because it's still one of my favourite shoes. Fucking black sole just disintegrated. But it was like a bomb had went off. It wasn't
It was bad.
like a wee bit. It was just like it was like a biscuit factory. I was like,
we'll give you them back. We'll give you these back now. He had a traumatic day when he said them on. He lost 2 soles that day, but we're giving you them back, mate. Here you go.
thank you very much, man. Cheers for fixing them.
Ocean, thank you for coming on, mate. It's
Not
been
a
an absolute
problem at
pleasure
all.
to pick your brain.
Brilliant.
For me,
But we
it's
still
just
didn't
like,
even feel what we talked about.
I feel like I have missed. Yeah, you know what? I was the blueprint to even try and pick your brain for this. I was like, how am I going to fucking do this? I said it to you.
oh, but half of the stories that it was just
It's like Billy
Blew
Connolly,
my
man.
mind,
It's just
yeah.
tangents that go
Yeah,
off,
you
man.
can't.
It's
It can't be helped.
but half of the stuff you've went on about, even like say the Beastie
I've said
Boys,
to be-
you would never have dreamt of
I said right at the
that,
start. This was to be an educational tool to the youth. You know what I mean? You can look back on this and like, this is what you've seen. That's what I want to know.
And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is to say I was there. I was part of that shit.
Be honest, see for somebody like me, like I'm not a historian in it, but I take a great interest in trying to find out as much as I can about all this sort of stuff. And yeah, exactly. You saying you've been there, you've basically lived through everything that I'm trying to learn about.
Yeah.
You've seen it firsthand.
And that's what's good about you, and kind of pisses me off about kids now. But kids now don't know any better. Like, all we knew about was in phone boxes, like getting a magazine, seeing a picture, phoning that place.
Yeah.
Have you got them? Can you keep them aside? I'll get the bus down on Friday. Like, it was shit like that. Like, you were running about daft. They're like, oh, where did you get them? Fucking telling you. It was all that shit. And as you say, going to Edinburgh just to get a different chippy jumper than somebody had.
And get the shit kicked out.
One on mid shop, yeah. Mate, it's been brilliant. Stories we've heard. We'll definitely get you back. That's
I
some of the
didn't feel
one
like
you've
we've
had
actually
too.
covered anything properly, to be honest.
Just spoke shit, man. haven't we?
Totally, man. That's why I
We've
like
got
it.
your top 5, right? Which is
It's my top 5 tonight.
At the moment, yeah.
top
It's
5 tonight.
Like my top 5. I could probably get a top 25, but they all revolve.
How many sneakers or trainers have you got at the moment?
At the
do you
moment,
think?
probably maybe more than I think I do. I probably think I've only got a couple of hundred, but I've probably got more than that. I've probably got a couple of hundred ACG ones, like Nike hiking shoes. Anyway, but at the height, I reckon I had to about 2,000 at one point.
Wow.
But
That's passion, man. That's passion.
I thought it was bad.
half of them were like 30, 40 quid. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like £190 for a pair of Jordans now. You're like,
No.
eh?
But it was like that before
I was
I
like,
met Chris.
Jordans were 70 quid.
Aye. But it was a bit like
the
that
dearest
before I
trainers,
met
right?
you.
Air Max were maybe 110, if that.
I love to hear about your
95.
sample hunting back in the day when samples weren't even such a big thing.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But some of the fucking shit I had was bonkers. Like, and it was literally like, because you'll see that on my Instagram now. It's like samples never, like colorways that were never ever brought out. They're probably better than the ones that were done.
The whole sample, like I've seen some great samples in my time. Even when you get a sample of an iconic shoe,
Yeah.
people just want that even for the collection.
Mhm.
But hearing about hunting that like back in the day, I think that's
It was
brilliant.
eBay. That was the first thing I searched on eBay.
Nice sample straight away.
Because generally it was a US 9 or UK 8 was a sample.
Yeah.
Every sample I usually get is an 8.5 all the time, usually. Maybe
Yeah.
what that's Adi do it in.
But again, that's probably aesthetically good size. It's not too big. It's doesn't look like a kid's shoe.
I always think a size 8 looks best in any trainer.
But in Manifesto, that's what we used to put. It was an 8.
Yeah.
Like fat laced, like so. Look,
I think that's the average like shoe size for the world is an 8.
apparently, well, UK, I think it's
Is
actually
it
a 9
now? I think it used to be an 8, but maybe it's a 9 now.
Yeah, maybe now.
Well, we'll shut up and get the camera off so we can get all him there.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, I'll definitely be asking you back, mate. Thank you so much for coming in and doing that.
Loved it, man. Loved it.
Yeah, you'll know like that. My co-host Chris Hobbs, Jason, thanks for recording it. Is there anybody out? Deck Green, thank you for giving us the shoes. Anybody else?
Deck Green, thank for giving me the shoes. I'm fucking taking them home.
He's only had them a month.
This has been the Dundee Show podcast. Good night.